and welcome to the ArchieLuxury program. Hello, fuckers! Hello, fuckers. And today I want to talk about YouTube changed my life. That's right, fuckers. YouTube changed my life. And I got to tell you, this is a very, very interesting thing. I mean, seriously, fuckers, who would take a second-rate comedian seriously if it wasn't for YouTube? YouTube, that's right. Who would take a second-rate comedian so seriously? It's given me a chance to broadcast to an audience. Get my message out there, fuckers. Get my message out there, my own brand of humor and comedy. And to discuss this, I've got my good friend, my bestie friend in the world, John Suckerhorn. Hello, Johnny. How are you?
G'day, Archie. How are you? Which way are we going today?
Hey, today's topic is YouTube changed my life. The good and the bad. YouTube changed my life. You there? YouTube has given me an opportunity to run second-rate comedy, third-rate comedy for fourth-rate punters, fourth-rate audience, and it's allowed me to produce full-time. And I got to tell you, John, I didn't do drama at school. I didn't do acting or those puffy sort of subjects like that. I did a few puffy subjects, but I got to tell you this now, John. I did the home economics and I did typing. I was a very, very man ahead of my own time. You know that?
Home economics and typing. What other subjects you studied?
Yeah, I did. Home economics. Well, John, all the girls were there. You know, I remember I got my first boob feel in home economics.
Oh,
I didn't understand what these things were. Fuck me dead, John. I was hooked. I was hooked, John.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I was
home
hooked.
Economics. You thought that was the way to pull the chicks, did you?
Well, I tell you what, John, I could show you my needlework compared to her needlework. It was very good, Jono. And Jono, YouTube changed my life. I've been able to, let's face it, it's like this story is through technology. I would never have existed if I had been in a earlier time without the internet. I would never have reached these heights. I'd just be an IT support person. It's a double-edged sword, you know. I might actually have a title and an office because I would have staff, because nothing's been outsourced. But I've also become an international YouTube celebrity. And I got to tell you the truth. There is good and bad to it. I got to tell you the truth, Jono. There is nothing, I got to be honest with you, there is nothing that gives me a greater smile in life, right? I've been out with a few, okay, look, let's be honest there. I'm not a fucking loyal fucker, okay? I'm a swordsman, John. I'm a swordsman, okay? I'm a swordsman.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, there's nothing grander and greater than when you're out with a chick and a fan comes up and asks you for an autograph. I mean, that's
happened, hasn't it?
It's happened multiple times with multiple chicks.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just amazing, Jono. It is an amazing experience. And I got to tell you, Jono, I remember I was with 47 at the Sukhothai. This guy came up to me and said, ArchieLuxury, can I have your photo? Can I have your autograph? Geez, that impressed 47.
Yeah, they like that sort of, you know, they like that
They
sort
said
of thing.
to 47, do you know who you're with? I love him. He's fantastic in Thai.
Yeah.
He spoke a bit of Thai. And
then did you go and jump on the ArchieLuxury channel to check it out, did you?
No, that was 47.
Yeah.
Then I had this other one. That was when I was in Sing, and that was just amazing, John. Amazing experience. That's worth its weight in gold. When you have a fan who comes up and wants an autograph, and you're with a new chick.
Where was that in?
That's
Singapore?
worth it.
444.
I've had it. No. This was actually, I've had it a few times. It's just amazing experience. That's the good side. It's so if any fans see me out in the wild, please say hello. And if I'm with a middle-aged woman, please just tell her how much you love my channel. Okay, I would really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it's sort of real in the sense that I got to be honest with you. Like, I'm sort of semi-famous. Like, I'm not famous like Tom Cruise or George Clooney or Mel Gibson. I'm not famous like that. But I'm famous in certain circles. So I got my privacy. Well, I think I've got my privacy. And I've also got a little bit of celebrity.
Yes.
It's really quite amazing. It's amazing. I got to be honest with you, John. Even John you've had the fame too. Remember, Jono. Remember, I took you when I first came to Melbourne. I took you out to that guy.
Yes,
and I got to be honest, he was such a lovely guy. Andrew's a lovely guy.
Yes.
Remember, he had the Lamborghini out the front of the house. He had a Rolls Royce and a fucking SL Mercedes. You think, fuck.
There was a Lamborghini.
What is this?
There was another top vehicle too. It wasn't a McLaren. There was a Lamborghini. What was the blue one?
No, he had a Lamborghini. That was the Aston Martin. That was his friend's Aston.
Yeah.
But Jono, you must admit that was fucking amazing. Where he goes, "Oh, you're Suckerhorn." Remember that?
Yes, I do actually. That was very nice of him. You know, that was very nice.
He's actually one of the nicest
guys.
Yeah, he is lovely. I love Andrew, and that was amazing. That was literally amazing. And I went to Perth. I met Antoinette. She's amazing. Antoinette was amazing. She's lovely. And I've met. I've been to Sydney. I've got Kelvin. Kelvin's really cool. Kelvin is really cool. I had a great time, Jono. It's really good. The fame. It's really.
That's great for the ego, but you know, I think I recall asking, when you did come down to Melbourne and you spent the night, with that gentleman, like, did people want to see Paul Pluto or they want to see ArchieLuxury? Yeah, and to do a 24-hour version of ArchieLuxury, you were exhausted.
It is exhausting work, Jono. It's hard work there. It's I got to tell you, Jono, it was a paid gig is always a good gig, John. That's the way I see it. A paid gig. I went and saw The Billionaire. I got to be honest with you. 2017 has been a bit of a horribilious. I haven't had any big things.
2016, you mean?
2016. Sorry, I've already cursed the new year. Yeah, it was pretty amazing shit. It was pretty amazing. But I got to tell you, Jono, it's there's been many honors bestowed to me, John. But, one thing that's really, really, really affected me nicely is that America's decided to put my face on the $1 bill. I don't know if you've seen this. The new US $1 bill. It's got.
What's on the back of it? What's on the back of it?
It is. Look at that.
Hold it. Oh, look! It's got It's got the all-seeing eye there too. Oh yes, righto. Okay.
That's the new US $1 bill with Archie on it. So that'll be I better just put that up there for the viewers, Arch. There you go. That's one of the greatest honors bestowed to me is America's decided to put me on their banknote. So that's really a huge honor, an absolute honor to have that, Jono. That's pretty amazing shit, John. I've been put onto the.
You get a made in hundreds.
Yeah, you got to pay more for that. You got to pay more for that. Now, John,
up in Bangkok, they wouldn't know shit, would they?
No, that's exactly it. There.
I tried it with a $55 note once in Bangkok.
I see.
Years ago, we used to have the promotional things at work, $55 notes. No. Took it over, I didn't take it to a bank. I showed the mate. I said, what do you reckon of this? Oh, that looks good. I thought you can have that. $55 note.
You can get $1 million note. You know that it's promotional only. $1 million note, US $1 million note.
Yeah, well, do they have $1 million notes in America? They do, don't they?
No. They have $10,000 notes.
That's the maximum highest of currency get is 10 grand. Oh, yeah, well, what's our maximum? 100.
Yes.
Why would you want a $10,000 note? You know, like, how do you know?
Because you can. Because you can. Do you understand?
Fair enough.
Because you can. Because you can. That's why.
Yeah, what do you do? What do you go down to the supermarket? You know, I'm sorry, I haven't got change. Like you'd want a few of them in your slide kick account in your wallet. That'd be great, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Now, Jono, that's the good side of the ArchieLuxury, the fame. The fame has been amazing, John. And I've had good friends too, like Mario. Mario's been a really good fan.
Yeah. Mario's been around a long time. Yeah.
I've met people in Sydney. There's a young guy there who bought a JEWELLERY, John. He's a lovely little guy. Lovely guy. I always love him to death. Huge fan. Lovely guy. He's a really, really nice guy. I really, really like him. And I got to be honest with you, John. There's been some amazing things that have happened in my life there. There's also been some bad things. There's also been some really horrid things too. Like I'll give you an idea. Right? I've lost jobs because of the fame. I got fired from the waste processing plant.
Yeah.
Because of my views on marriage.
Oh, that was someone squealed the office and dobbed you in, didn't they?
Yeah. They didn't think it was right that I used the corporate snakes that were living in the bushes to describe marriage.
They were living in the building, weren't they?
That's right. Corporate snakes, you know. Yeah. I mean, Jono, fuck. They just nasty. Lost jobs. I've lost jobs because nowadays they Google you and they find out what your online profile is, see?
First thing that the coppers do nowadays. First thing the coppers do is they Google your online profile. Leave that light on.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You reckon they do?
Of course they do. How else are they going to find out about you? You know, people spill their guts on Facebook. On YouTube. They spill their guts.
They spill their guts. So it's been a double-edged sword. I must be honest with you. The financial remuneration hasn't been terribly great. That's one thing that hasn't.
We were talking about before, like the hours you put in compared to how much you're
it's not worth it, John. I'd be better off driving a taxi. You know that?
Oh, Jesus, that's hitting the pits, isn't it? Driving a taxi.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Jono.
That's hitting the pits.
I would be better off driving a taxi.
Oh, well.
I would be better off driving a taxi, Jono. That's how bad it is. The money is terrible. I'm making bespoke videos for $20, John.
Yeah, well,
you know what really shits me off is you get these really, really wealthy fuckers. They got like $500,000 in watches. They flick you $10 and they ask you 50 million questions. Why should I do this? Why should I do that? Why? I just think, fuck me dead. I'm just a performing seal. You know that?
Well, I don't have a performing seal, you know, maybe a walrus, but you know, but that's what your lot is in life, isn't it? That's what people do expect you to perform. That's why people do tune in. That's why
I
people
am
do
completely unemployable. I am completely unemployable. You know that?
Well, you might battle now getting the job. You know, like what do you do in your spare time? Oh,
Well,
run a YouTube channel. You know, what's it called? Oh, ArchieLuxury. Check it out sometime. You know, like it's like you couldn't imagine yourself, you know, sitting down at, you know, being a member of a board of directors of a bank or something, and you know, and you've just put up a few Archie Explodes videos, and you know, we're going to, you know, talk about, you know what, you know, the monthly expenditure is going to be for the bank. You know, like you may not fit in well to there in that environment, possibly.
John, it's pretty bad. It's nasty. It's vicious. It's mean. I've destroyed my career. I'm 44 years old, which in IT is like being 55 years old. I haven't worked in the last 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. I don't think I'm employable, John. I am not employable. I am not employable.
How do you feel about not working for 3 years?
Well, I do work. I make videos, John. I make videos. I work very hard. I wake up in the morning. I go to bed about 10:30 or 11 at night after I've cut in videos.
All right.
I'm just not earning terribly much money. That's all, John. I'm not earning terribly much money.
All right. I'll rephrase it. How do you feel not selling your soul to the boss anymore, and that you're your own, you know, you're your own boss?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, it has its pluses and minuses. There's no money going into my super.
Well, that's right. That's right. But you know, what's superannuation good to you when you're 65? You know, like Christ. You know, like, you know,
there's still a lot of living left in you, John. You're alive. You're kicking along.
Yeah, well, I got my super years ago. You know, I spent that. You know, I don't rely on my, you know, superannuation to exist in life. The Yanks don't have superannuation, do they?
They got 401ks. It's their own self-funded super. Well, that's kind of like our super. 401ks. That's what they've got.
I was speaking to someone about footballers the other day. Why don't they have superannuation for footballers? You know, like
that?
Oh, that Ben Cousins, he was in the press again. You know, he's got himself into a bit of trouble again. And you know, he's a trouble. Brilliant footballer, and all right, he's gone down the wrong path. But you know, he was idolised when he was, you know, playing football, and now he's gone a little bit off track. You know, no one wants to know him. You know, like he's
a little bit off track. He's a fucking ice addict. Fuck me dead, John. The guy is a fucking major drug addict. He's an ice addict. Do you understand? It's not just a little bit of hooter. It's not a little bit of hooter on the weekend.
Well, why? You know, I wouldn't like to be in his situation. Like, he can't see his kids when he wants to. You know, thanks to Lionel Murphy's women's court. You know,
I don't think he's exactly the greatest guy around either. He's got a few very, very serious problems, John.
Yeah, well, maybe if he was given a little bit of guidance and a little bit of hope and direction, you know, like if you talk about his circumstance, he was the height of a height, you know, of idolised people, you know, as far as footballers are concerned. Ben Cousins, everyone wanted him. You know, he was an extremely, you know, talented, strong, you know, football player, and he was loved and idolised. And he left football and he went down the wrong path, and Now nobody wants to touch him with a barge pole. What's that done to his ego? It's certainly must have given a little bit of kick. I suppose it goes along. Be very nice to the people on the way up, because sure as life on the way down you're going to meet it.
He's really done. He's only 38 years old, but his sports career is over, of course, isn't it?
Yes, it is as far as him playing. He's too old to play now. But he could come back and work for the the AFL and and speak to young blokes about the pitfalls of his drug addiction, and what happened to him, and he could give lectures within the AFL, and he could be all right. They've made him an example, and they've ostracised him. Why not make him an example and use him to teach others? Well, don't make my mistakes.
Yes, he's a full-blown drug addict, John.
Yeah, I think he is. But if he's affected by drugs, that's not the Ben Cousins we all know and love. It's like when Archie drinks alcohol, and Archie gets pissed and he lets go. It might be all very amusing, at the time, but maybe it might be a little bit extreme. I don't think people like to see Archie pissed. They like to see Archie let go and Archie explodes. But when Archie's pissed, I don't think that that wins too many hearts. Sometimes you can be a little bit what's the polite word? Aggressive on the tongue. Yeah, boisterous, aggressive on the tongue. And I know for one, it's not good to be on the end of it. Yeah.
Is Archie an alcoholic? I don't think he is.
I don't think he is. Some people think he is. You don't drink every day, do you?
No, definitely not.
Well, you're just a binge drinker. When you have a drink, you drink the binge. That's all. I don't. That's not an alcoholic, is it? Binge drinking? Well, it could be.
No.
You're not drinking, a bottle of whiskey every day, are you? You'd have a real problem then. Drinking a bottle of whiskey days.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a serious habit. A half a bottle a week or a bottle a week's quite civil. A couple of whiskies a night. That's quite civil, isn't it? But you're drinking a bottle of a night, you got a problem.
You're right, Jono. It's very tricky. It's a very tricky game. We're talking about YouTube changed my life. I'm no longer employable. I can't get a normal job.
So that's one of the downsides of it.
Well, that's correct, John. I've become I'm not really famous. I'm more infamous. And
a very good question from Miss Youngster. Where does, what was it exactly again? Where does Paul Pluta end and ArchieLuxury begin?
We don't know that. We're still trying to work that out. That is the question, my friend.
Yeah,
that is the question.
That's the $64,000 question. That's for sure. Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm lucky. I know Paul Pluta. That's ArchieLuxury's saving grace for mine. I know the real Paul Pluta. I know what Paul Pluta's like, and I reckon he's a great bloke. Some things about Archie don't win my heart, but Paul Pluta has. He did that many years ago. We should do an intervention against the footballer live on YouTube. Yes, we might go and save Benny Cousins. Yeah, there's a good question. With the Nana Kim video, was that ArchieLuxury or Paul Pluta?
Bit of both.
Yeah, a bit of both. Yeah. What about Satan DeVille? Is he the good side or the bad side of Paul Pluto or the bad side of ArchieLuxury?
Yeah, that's a good question. We should bring that's a good character to bring back, don't you think, Jono?
Oh, Satan Deville, he always dressed up in his suit and he always put on a very fine performance. Satan Deville never swore, did he? Never swore, Satan
That's
Deville.
right. That's exactly. It was a great skit, don't you think, John?
Oh, it's very funny. Very funny at the time, you know.
You liked it.
I did. Possibly there's a niche for Satan Deville. Yeah, maybe you put out a Satan Deville, video every week, and once a week you put out a couple of ArchieLuxury videos a couple of weeks, and maybe you could put out, playing the ArchieLuxury or ArchieLuxury playing the Paul Pluto persona. And when you appeared the other day and you were saying you were depressed, a lot of people liked that presentation because you were speaking as Paul Pluto. And
yeah, that's kind of that was a good. Yeah, I've had some good commentary on that.
That was a good view because you did present. If there's another one, Mr. Bullshit. Bring back the Mr. Bullshit series. They were funny, but sometimes the line, is hard to draw. What's the difference between the reality and reality and the truth and fantasy? But as you say, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. And that's what 90% of this is just good stories. If they think this is the real Paul Pluto's life, you've got a lot to learn. It's essentially meant to be entertainment. If you don't like being entertained this way, go look somewhere else. It's simple as that. Simple as that, as I see it.
Yes, you're right, John. It's some of them are very nasty fuckers out there, John.
Oh, because you're very liberal. You let them have it. You let them express their opinion and views. Here's a good comment. Bring back Brian the Punter. It'd be good to see Brian the Punter back. That'd be great.
Which one's Brian the Punter?
Oh, Brian the Punter has...
That's not me. That's another guy. I can't control other people.
Yes, it'd be good if Brian was brought back in the commentary. Brian was always very funny. But
where's he gone? He quit. I don't know what the hell happened to Brian. He's a lovely guy. He got burnt out. See, he got burnt out.
Yes. I don't know if it was burnt out or disillusioned.
Is that my fault? Is that my fault he got burnt out like that?
Look, if you want to come to the ArchieLuxury channel and think this is life, and this is all real, well, you're fooling yourself. As you say, you're an entertainer. You're a method actor who entertains. And if people can't see that, like they can't see, the look on your face as I'm looking at it now. That's the real you. Like when you were looking at, your little model train, your Hornby train the other day, and you were displaying it to the audience, and there was a point where there was a silence, but you could see it in your eyes how much you loved that little train and how meaningful it was. If people want to look,
I couldn't sell that fucking thing to save my life. You know that, John?
Give it to your boys. I told you that ages ago. Keep that for your boys. They can give that to their kids. That's a family
heirloom anymore, John. They just fucking...
Yeah, they'd rather be playing Minecraft or something, wouldn't they? Yeah.
I don't know why, do you?
Oh, there's a lot more stimulus, for kids nowadays than what we have had as kids. There's a lot harder for kids in this world, to cope. Asking my little blokes, mates at school, what do you want to do when they grow up? You know what they say?
What's that? YouTube celebrity.
Yep, that's exactly what they say.
What the fuck they want to for? There's no money in that. I can tell you that. That's a mistake.
Well, they're watching channels with millions of subscribers, and
I'm not even kicking ass compared to these people. You know that? My own kids. My own kids have said to me, I'm a loser because I only have 33,000 subscribers.
Yeah, and what sort of channels do they watch? You know, channels
All
with
these gaming ones have like millions of
millions of
subscribers.
subscribers.
There's no fairness in this. I'm delivering third-rate comedy, and I'm just fucking exiled to the back of, YouTube fame.
I think sometimes your comedy does go over some of the viewers' head in regards to much of your comedy is typically Australian, and it's the cynical, tongue-in-cheek attitude, where as Aussies, we'll have a go at our mate. You'll have a go at your mate, and criticise your mate, tongue-in-cheek, as opposed to give him a slap on the back. What are you fucking doing that for? You'll say to your mate, or you're a fuckhead. You'll say to your mate, but that's just our way in Australia. We have that sort of cynical pragmatist, being a cynical pragmatist in the way in which we present, many of us, I think. And Archie is very much that too. As you say, if you don't like it, fuck off. It's not sort of something you can say walking down the street when you're in the supermarket, is it? But you can say on your ground, because this is your ground. You're the independent and final arbiter on this ground, no one else. So the boundaries are applied by you. But the old saying is, give people an inch and they'll take a mile, and that's what's happened a lot on the channel here. People have been given an inch, and they take a mile. Well, maybe that mile might be start to be corrected a little bit. Let's hope in the new year. I find the ArchieLuxury persona appealing because to me, I look at it, the comedy side of amusement. I don't look for any meaning in life. I don't look for any meaning in life or instruction from ArchieLuxury. I look for the fun and the amusement of the comedy of it. What others look for,
yes.
I don't know. But I like the cynicism of ArchieLuxury. I prefer that sort of presentation of humour, as opposed to pissing in someone's pocket. Someone's very keen on Old Crow as the answer. What's Old Crow? It's a whiskey, isn't it? I don't know. People are actually interested to learn. Yes, that's what they tune into the ArchieLuxury channel to learn about watches. But wouldn't you say that you're more cynical than practical in your presentation?
That's right, Jono. You hit it on the head there.
Yeah,
very, very true indeed.
Some people don't like cynicism. I like that sort of humour and presentation. Like Monty Python's presentation, that was always cynical. Everything they produced was cynical. And that cynicism was extremely amusing because they were playing and they made emphasis to basic things in life which we take for granted. They would blow that out of a proportion, like a parrot being dead, or a phone conversation, or when Cleese used to get up and walk funny. They pushed things to an extreme of cynicism, and they were unique. That they changed the nature of comedy in Great Britain and in Australia. I don't know if they had that much of an impression in the States. Well, they played. What's that famous theatre in New York? I think they played. I can't recall, but they were very
Carnegie
popular.
Hall.
In the States.
Carnegie Hall.
No, I don't think it was Carnegie Hall. It was another famous theatre which they played. Yeah, someone said, that seems really about the ADF. The black humour is in Australia is part of the course. It does happen, in the ADF. I remember a drill sergeant of mine. He used to call us gazondopedes. You're a pack of gazondopedes. What's a gazondopede? No one knew until we asked. And he said, dirty green little slugs. So when he referred to us as gazondopedes, then we realised, all we were dirty green little slugs, and that's all we were at the time. This was an experienced, decorated Vietnam veteran who was my drill instructor in the army. I wasn't worthy enough to stand in that bloke's shadow. In my opinion, as him being a man, he had every right, in my opinion, to call us gazondopedes. But he couldn't walk down the street and call someone down the street gazondopede, but in the ADF he could.
John.
I remember his name. He was John. Yeah, go on.
I'm going to end the show here. You want to do another one quickly?
Very good. If you wish, I'm open. I'm open.
Okay. I'm going to end this one here, and we're going to start another live show.